إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
every gentle.
I think it's not, everybody's fine. I know some people are really
Somebody? Papaya?
that's the best thing.
Really? You don't work with it. But I'm in this elbow, shoulder, everybody, what really everybody.
May Allah have mercy on the one who recites Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. أفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله نعم المولى ونعم الوكيل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا أنيس نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على
محمد
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر واجعلنا من خير أعوانه وأنصاره. First of all, let me take this opportunity once again to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praises are for Him for blessing us with yet again another opportunity to be in the majlis of Abu Abdullah and Husayn. It is an opportunity we should cherish. May Allah not make less of these opportunities to our lifetime, inshallah. My brothers and sisters, it is only befitting that in the beginning of this speech, we must give reference and bring up the fact that in Sweden, unfortunately, it's been a second time that the Quran is being burnt publicly in front of at least the embassy of a country whose majority are Muslims, in front of the Iraq embassy. And it seems as if this vibe of burning the Quran, the Kalamullah, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether they believe it or not, this disrespect is catching up. And apparently certain incidents have also occurred in Denmark with regards to the disrespect of the Noble Quran. At the beginning of the sermon, inshallah, we'll make the dua, and I ask all of you to say Ameen at the end of it, so that we, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, O Allah, to curse those who disrespect your word and give them what is their right. Ameen. Brothers and sisters, after 1400 years, a book written, a book that has no arms, no legs, no nose, no eyes, but only can be read, has incited so much of anger and fear that they burned that book. Itself shows the miracle of the Noble Quran, shows the power of the Noble Quran. Why is it that they burned the book? My brothers and sisters, we have started a series of lectures with the title Husayn, the Means of Salvation. Maulana did explain in the previous majalis where this salvation, the means of salvation, comes from. It is from the hadith of the noble Prophet, peace be upon him and his family. قَدْ كَتَبَ اللَّهُ عَلَى يَمِينِ عَرْشِهِ إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. Brothers and sisters, this hadith is not a hadith that is disputed among the different faiths or the different sects in Islam. Everyone believes in this hadith and is mentioned in all the traditions. إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. Husayn is the candle of guidance and the ark of salvation. It is important that we shed light on what is this ark of salvation saving us from. In another hadith we have from the noble Prophet, peace be upon him and his family, he says, مثل أهل بيتي مثل سفينة نوح. The example of my Ahlul Bayt is the example of the ark of Prophet Noah. What did the ark of Prophet Noah did? From what did the ark of Prophet Noah give safety, salvation, and safeguard those who inhabit in that ark? Yes, the ark of Prophet Noah, if we look at it from the materialistic perspective, it safeguarded them from the great flood that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised them. But if you look into the history, it is something much more than that. For more than 900 years was the prophethood of Prophet Noah. And you'll be surprised that it was a couple years before the flood came, the warning about the flood came to Prophet Noah. Couple years. Year in, year out, they would start to build this ark. Many people came to Prophet Noah and said, "Oh Noah, you're a madman. An ark for what? Year in, year out, there is no flood. What is this huge ark is going to do for you? You're just wasting your time and those who follow you." My brothers and sisters, that flood that will come is the consequence, is the end. But the warning that the prophets give is what we have to take and cherish and follow. The ship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the noble Prophet, peace be upon him and his family, has promised, the ark, to be the ark of salvation is the ark of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. From something that is to come to us, from a danger that is coming to us, from a flood that is coming to us. Or rather, I can say from a flood that we're already in, that we have to reach out and go into this ark to safeguard ourselves from this flood. This ark of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, this ark of salvation, is saving us from something. What is it saving us from? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Once he was amongst his companions. Of the companions was Jabir ibn Abdullah. He drew a few lines on the ground with a stick. Look at Rasulullah, the beauty of his teachings. He finds every single opportunity he can to teach with a stick. He drew a few lines in the stick, one straight line and a few other lines connecting to that straight line. He told Jabir, he said, "Jabir, you see this straight line? This is Siratik al-Mustaqim. This is the straight path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Giving an example. Not that this line itself is the path that you have to walk on. Giving him an example. And then it says, "Jabir, all the other lines you see connected to that line are the lines of shayateen deviating people following the straight path away from the straight path." And then the noble Prophet takes his right arm and he puts it on the line and he recites this verse from the noble Quran. وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمٌ فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. And this is my path, the noble Prophet is saying. This is my path, which is the straight path. So follow it. And do not follow the other ways. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقُ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. And do not follow any other paths, any other ways, for you will be separated from the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ذَلِكَ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. This has He instructed, this is what God Almighty has instructed you, that you may become righteous. My brothers and sisters, it is very clear, it's manifest for us, that there is no third person, there is no third group in this world. It is either Iman and Tawud. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran in Ayat al-Kursi, Allah waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min al-dhulumati ila an-nur. Not only are these two groups in existence and there is no third group, but each group has a leader. Each group has a magnet that pulls people towards it. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu. Allah is the wali, is the leader, is the guider, is the one who brings towards himself, the ones who protects. Allah is the one who protects. Waliyul ladhina amanu. Those who believe. Allah waliyul ladhina amanu. Yukhrijuhum min al-dhulumati ila an-nur. He brings out, He exits those who believe from darkness into light. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ. And those who disbelieve, those who neglect, أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ. Their awliya, their protectors, their guiders, their leaders, their supremes are the Taghut. يُخْرِجُهُمْ مِنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ. They exit those who follow them and those who believe in them from the light to the dhulumat, from the light to the darkness. My brothers and sisters, it's very important to focus because every single word in the Quran carries a weight. There's layers of meaning, as we have established many times. This verse is not only saying that there are two groups in existence, it also says there is no third group. Either you're with the Iman or you're with the Taghut. Either you follow the right path, either you're with the one with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you are against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no way that you can stand somewhere and say, I am separate, I don't believe in either of the two parties. Not only is it mentioning this, it further says that it's not just passive group, where you're a member of that group and you're being notified and updated that you're a member of that group. You have that email and says that you're a member, you're a verified member of that group. No, it's an active group. Allahu wali, He is protecting. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ. They're also protecting, they're also safeguarding their part of their group. It's an active battle between Taghut and Iman. On a daily basis, Ayatullah Dasghi, he says that if a day passes by and you feel a form of relief, one small sigh of relief, know that there is something wrong in your day. Meaning what? You're always inside you, there is always a fight of the two groups, Iman and Taghut. There's a story of this Kaffar Shetehani, we call him. The one who looks after the shoes and sandals, repairs the shoes, the shoemaker. He's from Tehran once, was before the Inqilab. He was of the very famous people who was pious in that time before Inqilab, where the revolutions of Taghut were taking place. The hijab was banned, and then eventually slowly the cultural drift and move away from Islam, where they would bring in nudity into the community, into the culture of the Muslims. They would bring in promiscuity into the culture of Muslims. And now, unfortunately, if you see around the world, LGBTQ is taking a vibe. Even among the Muslims, unfortunately. At that time, this man was able to safeguard himself from all evil. He was very famous of a person to be pious. After the revolution, after the Islamic revolution, he started attending one of the classes, weekly ones, of one of the ulama, the Darsul Akhlaq, the class of Akhlaq in Qom. As he attended more and more of these classes, he realized that it's becoming more difficult and difficult. It's very difficult for me to say this, but I must. although it's not necessarily the place for a pulpit, but then he said that I was on a daily basis before Inqilab, when a woman would have passed in front of me, there was no incitement for me to look upon. Now after Inqilab and after I started entering and learning from the Dars al-Akhlaq of the Alim, it becomes more difficult for him. His eyes and his gazes on the non-mahram, it's difficult for him to control. Mind you, we're talking about after the revolution where the hijab becomes compulsory, and the hijab and the women, most of them at least, they try to cover themselves with at least as much as the law at least entails. So he says, after the revolution where the hijab comes about, where everything is moving towards Imam, it becomes more difficult for me to be pious, to not gaze upon women. So he comes to this alim and says, oh my teacher, he says, since I'm attending your classes, since I come to your classes, I realize that it's becoming more difficult and difficult for me to safeguard my iman. The alim says, look, this is how it's supposed to be. When you did not come to these classes, when you did not know much about Islam, then shaitan had nothing to do with you. Shaitan was preying on your ignorance. It's only when you started coming to the classes and you started gaining awareness, that's when shaitan is attacking you with the whims and wishes and desires, looking upon the gazing on the non-mahram woman. And he says, resist a little bit more. Resist a little bit more. You know, shaitan is a very arrogant being. Have you seen those who are arrogant? They tell you once and twice, they don't tell you the third time. Those who are arrogant, they tell you and they tempt you once, twice, but they realize you're not listening to them because they're arrogant, they don't follow you anymore. That's how shaitan is. Resist a little bit more and you will be free. You will gain the salvation. My brothers and sisters, the point I want to make over here is that these two forces are active forces. On a daily basis, Shaykh Ansari, one of his friends or one of his neighbors rather, he saw a dream once that apparently there was this very ugly and undesirable and displeasureful being that has chains and strings and ropes attached to his hands. He's pulling these chains and ropes on a constant basis. Some of these chains were big and heavy. Some of these were small ropes. Some of them were small threads. He said that one chain stood out from all the other ones. And he was pulling this chain as the chain would go against him. He would keep pulling the chain and the chain would go against him. He woke up and he goes to Shaykh Ansari. He says, Shaykh Ansari, I saw a very weird and very surprising dream. I saw that there is a very displeasing person, displeasing being with so many chains attached to him, so many strings and so many threads and ropes attached to him, and he's pulling each one of them, and actively some of them are pushing away from him. And he says one of them stood out. It was a very big and heavy chain. Shaykh Ansari says this is shaitan. He holds the mu'mineen, he holds the different believers with different things. Some of them are small things. Just as small temptations and the person loses. Some of them are big things. Shaitan has to hold that person. He says that big chain that you saw, it was me. I was attached to that big chain. Last night, I received some money from Homs. At the same time, I was moneyless. We had no bread at home. We had no food that I can feed my family with at home. I was thinking about borrowing some money from the Homs so that I can use for my personal and then pay back eventually later. Look at the level at which Shaykh Ansari is. I was thinking about borrowing the money from Homs, borrowing, not taking, not ghas, that's another level. Borrowing the money from Homs so that I can feed my family. Shaitan was holding me with this. Every time I approach the money of khums, shaitan would be pulling that chain towards himself. And every time I resisted, that chain would be going against shaitan. And brothers and sisters, these two are active forces. These two forces, on a daily basis, they have works. That's why the recent researchers from the ulama, they believe that shaitan, look at Shaykh al-Sadiq in his book, Mawsu'atu Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, he talks about the Dajjal. And according to riwayat, they describe Dajjal, one-eyed being in the end times and how he will be and what he will do and so on and so on. Apparently, according to Shaykh al-Sadr, these descriptions are descriptions of not one person, but rather an entity, a group of people who have one goal. And he specifically mentions the Western media industry, entertainment industry, the 7 industries in the Hollywood that are owned by Jews. Which day have you seen, my brothers and sisters, that the cinemas are empty? Which day have you seen that these movies, 150 minutes, sometimes 200, sometimes 300 minutes, we spend in our lifetime to see what? To see superheroes that do not exist, fictitious. To deviate our minds away towards something that is not in reality, that does not exist, that holds no material value for us, but they're using our money from our pocket. We are giving material value to something that does not exist in reality. These are active forces. At the same time, my brothers and sisters, you see Taghut being active. Allahu waliyyul ladina amanu. Iman is also active. Iman is also active. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also working. He has His forces as well. And most definitely the forces of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are much more victorious than the forces of Taghut, especially for those who have strong belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why, my brothers and sisters, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, Inna al-Husayn misbahul huda, Husayn verily is the candle of guidance, was safinatun najah, an ark of salvation. Not that he was when he was with his companions and his family and then he eventually died at that time with salvation. No, he's actively the ark of salvation. He's actively pushing and pulling towards himself the mu'mineen and pushing away from himself the Taghut. Even now as we sit, we have two polarized decisions within ourselves, my brothers and sisters. The force of Taghut and the force of Iman within us. My brothers and sisters, these majalis, these congregations of weeping that we attend, we did mention the importance. I believe these 3 majalis that are left, inshallah, we will try as much to conclude whatever we mentioned in the first 3 majalis so that we'll be able to have a practical way of seeing things, practical way of applying that salvation of Abu Abdullah and Husayn in our lives. This weeping, this congregational weeping, so much importance for it has been mentioned in the riwayat. I did mention and I'll reiterate. It is rightful that we iterate this as much as we can. For one salam to Abu Abdullah, one ziyarah of Abu Abdullah, and look at the ziyarah. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam tells one of his companions, and I did repeat this hadith in the previous majlis as well. He says, do not sleep except that you do a ziyarah of Abu Abdullah, except that you visit the grave of Abu Abdullah and Husayn. He says, how can I am in Medina and he is in Karbala. For me to go and come back, it takes many days and sometimes many weeks. How can I sleep on a daily basis doing the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah and Husayn? He says, no, it's not necessary that you have to go there physically. He says, go up to somewhere that is high, on a rooftop or somewhere else. Go up there, look onto your right, look onto your left, and look up on the skies, and then turn towards the land of Karbala. Put your hand on your chest and say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just these two sentences. And you will do the ziyarah of Aba Abdillah. And some of the scholars, when they interpret this hadith, they say, looking on the right and looking on the left and looking on the top, it signifies that Aba Abdillah, he has ihata, he has the power, bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over all things. By the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every single thing in this world has surrendered himself to Aba Abdillah Husayn. And in this hadith, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, one blessing, one reward of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Hajj of Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, the Hajj that the noble Prophet committed. And in this riwayah is one Hajj. Look at the importance of ziyarah of Aba Abdillah, of going into this ark of salvation. I want to make a conclusion from these, my brothers and sisters. I'm not just repeating the slogans that we did in the previous nights. So please give as much attention as you can to these riwayat and these points. And in some other riwayat, 100 Hajj that the noble Prophet committed, some other 1,000 Hajj. Why Hajj? Why is the criteria of thawab Hajj? Because in Hajj you find all kinds of proteins and vitamins, spiritual proteins and vitamins in one single prayer, in one single performance. Hajj, my brothers and sisters, once you commit in your lifetime, it's enough. It's as if it has all the spiritual proteins and vitamins that you require for you to attain salvation in this world and to acquire prosperity and the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Hajj is obligatory once, and the rest of the Hajj that you commit are all recommended Hajj. But Aba Abdillah al-Husayn, you do ziyarah of Aba Abdillah al-Husayn, just one ziyarah is equivalent to 1,000 Hajj. How many proteins and how many vitamins do you require for your spiritual body? This one ziyarah is giving you all of it in just one package. What's going on? What is this ziyarah of Aba Abdillah al-Husayn and this ark of salvation? That on Thursday nights, all the angels, all the anbiya, is mentioned in one of the riwayat, that all the anbiyas, all the prophets and the messengers on Thursday night, they visit the grave of Aba Abdillah al-Husayn. They're taking energy from Aba Abdillah al-Husayn. Further, all the angels visit the grave of Aba Abdillah al-Husayn. What is going on? What is this? What energy is Aba Abdillah giving us? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Husayn the ark of salvation. My brothers and sisters, now that we acknowledge that Husayn is the ark of salvation, we must now understand how is Husayn at this majalis and this visiting the grave of Abu Abdullah gives us salvation in this world and in the hereafter. Please recite Allah salawat. It is manifest and established for us that Husayn is the ark of salvation. And this one ziyarah of Abu Abdullah Husayn might be equivalent to 1,000 Hajj. But there is a resemblance to this in the Noble Quran. In Surah Al-Qadr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Verily we have revealed the Noble Quran to you. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. What do you know about this night of power in which the Quran was revealed? لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. The night of power is better than 1,000 months. The least is 1,000 months. It's better than 1,000 months. So one night is that cheap. You can make that argument. But no, my brothers and sisters. Just being in the night of power, coincidentally existing with the existence of the night of power, coincidentally the time frame of the night of power does not give you anything. There are many Christians who also go through the same night of power. There are many Jews, non-Muslims, atheists. You name it. All the Taghut also go through the same night of power. Who benefits from this night of power? Who has this privilege of having this one night that is equivalent to 1,000 nights, 1,000 months, or even better than 1,000 months? Those who benefit from this night, those who take lesson from this night, those who pray in this night, those who turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with istighfar in this night, those who ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide them and bless them with hajj in this night. This night is equivalent to 1,000 months. And my brothers and sisters, the capacity of each one of us is different. The capacity of the peoples are different. One in the night of Laylatul Qadr may ask one thing that is really big, might ask, oh Allah, give me the best of endings, give me the life of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and give me the death of Ahlul Bayt and the noble Prophet, peace be upon him and his family. The other might ask, oh Allah, give me a house, give me a vehicle in this world. Capacities are different. We have to open up our capacity. Likewise in the Laylatul Qadr, according to the capacity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with things that are equivalent to 1,000 months, but better than 1,000 months. With Abu Abdullah Husayn is the same thing. The way we utilize from this majalis, the way we utilize from this lamenting and weeping on Abu Abdullah Husayn, and according to our capacity, we are blessed with the same amount of hajj and the vitamins and the proteins that we require for our spiritual body. My brothers and sisters, in hajj, you see Rasulullah, it's the most complete form of prayer. It's the most complete form of worship. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this Hajj and all the Anbiya and all the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, when they would do Hajj, it's not just circumambulating the Kaaba. You see the Imam Husayn alayhi salam, Maulana did mention in the Friday sermon past, he gathered the people in Hajj in Arafat, and he brings arguments about the wilayah of Ameed Aabidi in Hajj. It's a conference of all the cream believers, all the cream Muslims. But when you come to the Majlis of Abu Abdullah Husayn, that conference becomes multiplied, boosted, supercharged in just one Majlis of Abdullah Husayn. This does not mean that you don't go to Hajj anymore. No, once the Hajj becomes obligatory, you have to fulfill your obligation. But what you get in Hajj, you get 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times that in the Majlis of Abdullah Husayn, in the condition that you come to the Majlis and you utilize from that Majlis what you're supposed to be utilizing. My brothers and sisters, I did mention in the Majlis a few, 1 or 2 nights ago, that there are 2 pages from Ashura. There is a white one and a black one. The black page is when Abu Abdullah and his family are killed. We weep for that. The victory and the victorious people and the champions of this black page are Yazid and Ubaidullah and Shimra and so on, because they were able to become victorious and kill the family of Abu Abdullah and Husayn. But if we only see this black page, then we're the losers. We're not utilizing from the Majlis of Abu Abdullah Husayn. Just by crying and having this entertainment year in, year out, day in, day out, does not give us salvation, my brothers and sisters. It's not equivalent to one Hajj even. So what gives us salvation in this Majlis? How can we say that, yes, Husayn is truly the salvation? How are we guaranteed and we were able to say, okay, now that I have been salvaged from Abu Abdullah Husayn, through Abu Abdullah Husayn in his ark? رحم الله امرأ أحيا أمرنا. My brothers and sisters, when we come to this majalis, when we come to this majlis, we are reviving the mission of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. When we cry, we are showing our emotions to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, the family of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we weep, we are acknowledging the oppression that has befallen upon them. At the same time, what are we doing? We're preparing ourselves for their mission, to follow their footsteps, to revive their mission. At the same time, we're not just weeping, we're looking at the white fold, the white page of Ashura, the page of bravery, the page of resistance, the page of patience, the page of rejoining each other towards the right and repelling each other from wrong. This is what we are gaining from a majlis that is supercharged with 1,000 hajj, my brothers and sisters. And if it is just weeping, then that majlis will not do you any good nor do you any harm. It is the majlis that results in revolution within ourselves and collectively as a community that is supercharged with 1,000 hajj. That's why there is not a single prophet, as we mentioned in previous majalis, there is not a single person, including the prophets, that acquired a position except from the weeping of Abu Abdullah and Husayn. What does this mean? How did they acquire the position? This weeping is not just shedding the tear from your eyes, my brothers and sisters. It's bringing change within ourselves and amongst ourselves in the community. Shake our inner selves and bringing the awakeness to ourselves. What happened in Karbala can happen to us. What happened in Karbala can happen to the Imam of our time. Prepare ourselves for his arrival. Rahimallahu man ahya amrana. May Allah have mercy on the one. The hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and also Imam Rada alayhi salam. Many Imams have repeated this hadith. Rahimallahu man ahya amrana. May Allah have mercy on the one who revives and gives life to our mission. What is the mission of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam? We're taking conclusions in these few majalis, my brothers and sisters. What is the mission of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam? Cry? Was it what the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam did day in, day out? Just cry for Abu Abdullah, just weep? Look at what Imam Khomeini alayhi rahmah did on the day of Ashura, in the same year that he incited the inqilab, about to be exiled from Iran. He first did the majlis, the weeping on the day of Ashura, and afterwards he delivered a speech, shaking the inner selves of the people, saying that all people for the Husayn of that time, and you have cursed the Yazid of that time, now find out and recognize the Husayn of this time and the Yazid of this time. These are two active forces. Husayn dead in that 63 after Hijrah is not going to do you any use if you do not find the Husayn of your time today. Yazid dead in that past history is not going to give you any use if you do not find the Yazid of the time today. The Amr of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, the mission of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, my brothers and sisters, is their faraj, is their relief. And it's mentioned in the riwayat that the faraj of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam is the faraj of all those who follow him. The relief of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam are the ones, is the relief that brings relief to all the believers. And the Imam Mahdi, the disappeared Imam, the Imam in occultation, he is tasked to bring back this faraj to us. All the Imams, all the lights, one after the other, they came with the same mission. One after the other, they were killed and butchered and slaughtered and poisoned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved the 12th one until the time is ready so that he will be able to arrive and bring that faraj, bring that relief to himself and all those who follow him, all those who follow the Ahlul Bayt and the Prophet, peace be upon him. Hukumatullah, the government of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the government of justice will be established with the arrival of Muhammad. In the coming lectures, inshallah, the coming speeches, we will discuss further on exactly how this faraj will take place and what we have to do to prepare the grounds for this faraj. Please recite al salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
The ashab of Husayn alayhi salam on the day of Ashura, on the night of Ashura rather, the night that precedes the day of Ashura, about Abdullah Husayn, he was walking amongst the tents, and as he was walking, he somehow slowly walked out of his camp towards the deserts. One of the companions of Abdullah Husayn, Nafi' ibn Hilal, because remember the camp of Abdullah Husayn had candles and lights around it, the lights lit with fire. And Abdullah Husayn was moving towards desert where was darkness. Nafi', in a way that Imam Husayn should not notice his presence, would follow Abdullah Husayn to make sure that there is no one attacking Abdullah in the darkness. Imam Husayn, as he would approach, he realizes someone following. He turns back and says, Nafi', is that you? Nafi' now presents himself to Abdullah and says, yes, I was afraid that maybe your enemy might ambush and attack you in the night, in the darkness of the desert. Imam Husayn makes a dua for him. He thanks him for his worrisome. He says, don't worry, I'm trying to analyze what is going to happen the coming day, how my family will be able to escape from the camps in the coming day. This was the worry of Abdullah Husayn. So they came back together, and Nafi' says that as Imam Husayn alayhi salam and myself were coming back to the camps, Imam went into one of the tents, and it was the tent of Lady Zainab sallallahu alayha. And I myself, I stayed outside, Nafi' says. And then he says, I did not want to spy, but I overheard certain words. Lady Zainab asks from Imam Husayn, he says, oh my brother, she says, oh my brother, are you sure that your companions, have you tested your companions? Are you sure that these companions will stay with you, stay steadfast with you until tomorrow? Imam Husayn says, yes, I'm certain about these people. These people are the ones who are loyal to me and who will stay with me. Nafi says, I heard this and I could not bear. As he was walking out, away from the tent of Lady Zainab, his face was completely changed. And Lady Zainab does not have trust on them. As he was walking, he encountered Habib. Apparently Habib was doing something, he was probably sharpening his blade for tomorrow, sharpening his sword for tomorrow. And then Habib looks at Nafi and he says, Nafi, your face has changed. What is it that is worrying you? He says, Habib, I heard this from Lady Zainab and it's worrying me. She doesn't have trust in us. She doesn't have complete assurance from us. So Habib gets up and he brings all the ashab. He invites everyone around him. And then a few Banu Hashim also came in. Ashab told the Banu Hashim, you go. There is something I want to discuss with the companions. Not from the family of Abu Abdullah. Banu Hashim are those family of Abu Abdullah who accompanied him. He said, you go. I want to discuss with the companions. Habib said, oh my brothers, this is now the time that we prove our loyalty to Abu Abdullah. Those who are with us, let's go together and give one more time the hand of our allegiance to Abu Abdullah. They go and they surround the tent of Lady Zainab, and they called Abu Abdullah from outside the tent. And the Ahlul Bayt said, Ya Ahlul Bayt al-Nubuwah, we are the men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will be loyal to you and we will protect you until our last breath. Then his letter from the tent, she replies, Ajarakumullah. May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you for your step. Al-Hatida comes out, he sees lions in front of him. He sees brave men in front of him. And in this time, Abu Abdullah Husayn, there were many times apparently in this night that Abu Abdullah Husayn, he took away his allegiance and he says, you go if you want you can escape. I'll even turn off the lights. But they stayed, these loyal men stayed. Imam Husayn, when he came out of the tent, he promised each one of the companions, he said, all of you will be killed tomorrow. At this point in time, the Banu Hashim had also gathered. Abu Abdullah promised that all of you will be killed by tomorrow. You will attain the high status of martyrdom and you will meet my grandfather Abu Abdullah and my grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and my father Ali ibn Abi Talib in the heavens. Of the people who heard this, my brothers and sisters, was Qasim ibn Hassan. Qasim, the son of the brother of Imam Husayn, the elder brother of Imam Husayn. Qasim was approximately between 13 to 15 years of age. He's a teenager now, mature, just mature. Just reached the age of puberty. This young man, this small teenager, eager to know what's going to happen tomorrow. He says, oh my uncle, am I also going to die? Will I also die in your path tomorrow? Abu Abdullah looks at this question and the questioner, he says, oh my nephew, how do you see death in your eyes? Qasim ibn Hassan says, Ahla min al-asal. It's more sweeter for me than honey. Imam Husayn gives him the promise, says, yes, you will also die from amongst my companions tomorrow. He is now assured, he is now happy that tomorrow he will also be one of the martyrs of the Karbala. Ashura arrives. Companions, one after the other, they gave their lives. Now time for Banu Hashim. Ali Akbar gave his life. Then Qasim comes and asks from Abu Abdullah the permission to enter into the battle. Abu Abdullah, he would insist and insist to the point that Abu Abdullah had hugged him at that time, at that instant. It is mentioned in the riwayah that they cried until Abu Abdullah himself, he was about to become unconscious. Qasim, in that tearful eyes, heads towards the battlefield, getting the permission from Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. He is now surrounded by the enemy, my brothers and sisters. He would fight and fight until a mal'oon, a cursed one from the army of Yazid, strikes him on the head, this 15-year-old man, this 15-year-old teenager, and puts him to death. Imam Husayn rushes towards Qasim ibn Hassan, his nephew, and he takes revenge from Qasim, and he kills the killer of Qasim. Now Qasim is dead. He looks up to the Ashqiya, he looks up to the army of Yazid, and he says, may Allah not forgive a single one of you for the acts that you have done. He looks up to the boy and he says, how shame of me that I took you as a healthy boy from your father and now giving you back to your father in that state. It is very difficult for an uncle to see you in that state. He brings Qasim ibn Hassan and he puts him next to the Banu Hashim who are also killed, like Ali ibn Akbar. And then he prays and he gives patience to the rest, the remaining ones, and he says, don't worry, my brothers and sisters, O Banu Hashim. It will not be long from now that we will all be facing about our grandfather Rasulullah and our father Ali. My brothers and sisters, this was a tragedy and atrocity befallen on Qasim ibn Hassan. La yawm ka yawmaka ya Aba Abdullah. At least Qasim had someone who took revenge from the killer of Qasim. At least Qasim had someone who came to save him and to bring his body back to the tents. Abu Abdullah, on that 10th day of Muharram on the plains of Ashura in the afternoon, my brothers and sisters, in that state of utmost thirst, in that state of utmost tiredness, he heads out to the battlefield. Many times he would return back to the tent, pushing the enemy away back, and then going back to the army to fight against them, to the point that he falls on the ground thirsty in the hot ground of the Karbala. Riwayat mentions وَالشِّمْرُ جَالِسٌ عَلَى صَدْرِكَ. Shimr is now on the chest of Abu Abdullah, holding the beard of Abu Abdullah on one hand and rubbing the dagger on the other hand on the neck of Abu Abdullah as the dagger kisses the neck of Abu Abdullah. The living body of Abu Abdullah is now departing from this world. The last breaths of Abu Abdullah, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. No one in that plains of Karbala is there to bring the body of Abu Abdullah back to the tents. No one in the plains of Karbala remain to now take revenge from Abu Abdullah and Husayn, the killer of Abu Abdullah and Husayn, my brothers and sisters. Rather, what happens is that they will now change the horseshoes of their horses, put on fresh metal shoes on the hooves of their horses, and trample the body of Abu Abdullah with their horses in the day of Ashura. That will be the way Abu Abdullah will be digging into the grave. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الكافرين على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. مات من حسين يا حسين
Ya Husayn, 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 Ya Husayn.
Request the brothers to form a closer circle, inshallah. As we recite the Latmiyas, the lamentations that we recited the previous nights, we're going to recite the same, and inshallah with a better voice, so that those present in this majlis will be able to register our names in this majlis, inshallah. Lady Fatima Salamullahi alayha, Lady Abdullah will testify that we lamented for Abu Abdullah Husayn. Thar Allah, Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Karbala is on our mind. Let us see what we can find from the lives of Husayn's men who wrote the truth with a bloody pen. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God. Thar Allah, Thar Allah. Invest in the best of your voices,
Husayn is the rising sword of God.
Thar Allah,
Thar Allah. Husayn is the rising sword of God.
in our heart lies a scar, hardened by Ali Akbar. Young indeed, but there was the need for the wrath of a lion.
sword of God. For Allah, Husayn is the rising sword of God.
Al Husayn, brutally slain, taught the world to overcome its pain. All aboard, seeking their Lord, blood finally overcame the sword. For Allah,
Husayn is the rising sword of God.
for Allah,
Husayn is the rising sword of God. Allah, Husayn is the rising sword of God.
men like these can't be appeased, carry the future of our species, monks by night, waiting to fight, changed into lions at first daylight. God Allah, everyone,
Husayn is the rising sword of God. Allah, Husayn is the
release your voices, brothers.
Allah, Husayn is the rising sword of God.
Every day is Ashura, and every land is Karbala. Acknowledge this fact, my brothers and sisters. Release your voices. Every day is Ashura, and every land is
Karbala.
Every day is Ashura, and every land is Karbala. Every day is Ashura,
And every land is Karbala.
Oh Mahdi, come to our aid.
Oh Mahdi,
Answer our calls. All those Muslims who are suffering today, it's because we have lost our way. All the orphans and the sick and the needy are being oppressed at the hands of the greedy. All the tyrants have joined together to destroy Islam forever. As they had gathered around Karbala, it brings to light the day of Ashura. Oh Mahdi, come to our aid. Mahdi, answer our calls. Every day is Ashura, and every land is Karbala. Every day is Ashura, and every land is Karbala. Every day is
Ashura, and every land is Karbala.
Oh Mahdi, come to our aid. Oh Mahdi, answer our calls. All humankind should awaken their conscience to unite with Islam in one defense. When the time comes for confrontation, we all need Mahdi's consolidation. Oh Mahdi, come to our aid. Oh Mahdi, answer our calls. Every day is Ashura. Say it like you mean, brothers.
Karbala.
Every day is Ashura, and every land is Karbala. Oh Mahdi, come to our aid. Oh Mahdi, answer our calls. Husayn, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Husayn, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Say these words as if you're talking to Abu Abdullah, my brothers and sisters. As if Abu Abdullah is amongst us, in reality he's amongst us. He's looking at us, he's seeing at us, seeing our weeping and lamentation. Speak with him. Remember his atrocities. Let him see what we are doing over here, my brothers and sisters. Husayn, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. 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 thirsty Ruqayya, thirsty Ruqayya, thirsty Abdullah. Thirsty Abdullah, we just need water. Father, some water. Father, some water. Where's your flag bearer? Son of Fatima. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. These verses should awaken your souls, brothers. Ya Mawla, Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Mawla, ya Mawla, Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn's all alone, Husayn's all alone, Husayn's all alone. Now Qasim has gone, Ali Akbar's gone, Abu Fadil's gone, even Abdullah. Husayn wa wayla, Husayn wa wayla. Zainab praise Allah, Zainab praise Allah. Where's Abu Abdullah? Where's Abu Abdullah? Where's Ali Akbar? Where's Abdullah? Where's my flag bearer? Where's my protector? Where is my Abbas? Where is my Abbas? Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. 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 Women and children, women and children, we're slapped and beaten, we're slapped and beaten. Children cry in fear, children cry in fear. Zainab full of tears, Zainab full of tears. Oh my brother dear, oh my brother dear. I wish you were here, I wish you were here. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Release your voices. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Saviors of Islam, saviors of Islam. I send you my salam, I send my salam upon you, master, upon you, master. When I drink water, when I drink water, all my love for you and my life for you, I will keep my trust, I will never rest, I will give my life, I will sacrifice in my life always. Your flag raised up high. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. Husayn, ya Mawla, ya Mawla, ya Mawla. This is how we prepare for Ashura, my brothers and sisters. The skies, the earth, everywhere will be crying for Abu Abdullah as we reach and we approach the day of Ashura. We will chant the name of Husayn as all the creations in this world are doing. Ya Husayn, Ya Husayn, 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 Husayn. Abu Abdullah, Abu Abdullah, Abu Abdullah, Abu Abdullah, Abu Abdullah, Husayn, Abu Abdullah, Husayn. Abdullah, Abu Abdullah, Husayn, Abu Abdullah, Husayn, Abu Abdullah, Abu Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Abu Abdullah, sallallahu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah.
Assalamu alaikum ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum ya ibn Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa ala jaddika wa abik. Assalamu alaikum wa ala ummika wa akhik. Assalamu alaikum wa ala tis'atil ma'sumina min zurriyatika wa banik. Khususan sayyidi wa mawlaya ya Abal Fadl Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'minin. Assalamu alaikum ya jami'a syuhada Karbala wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya sahib al-zaman. Assalamu alaikum ya khalifat al-Rahman. Assalamu alaikum ya sharika al-Quran. Assalamu alaikum ya imam al-insi wal-jan. Al-aman al-aman min fitan al-zaman. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajak wa sahhalallahu makhrajak wa zuhurak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
recite Surah Al-Fatiha for the Muharram and those deceased from the family of Brother Ismail and his wife, inshallah. We'll also pray for his well-being and fast recovery and the difficulties facing now, inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت